My sister-in-law, Sarah, was obsessed with cucumber face masks. When my nephew, Leo, was just 8 months old, she started slicing cucumbers and applying them to his face every day. One day, Sarah was hyped up by a social media blogger about a new type of cucumber, claiming that after applying it, one's face would be so perfect, they could dominate the demon world. As a medical doctor, I, Mia, could tell at a glance that it was a toxic cucumber, the product of a failed experiment. It contained a poisonous substance that would cause immediate ulceration upon skin contact. I pleaded with Sarah endlessly, and only then did she reluctantly give up. A year later, because Leo's face didn't turn out as she'd hoped, Sarah's dream of him becoming a child model was completely shattered. She said, "If you hadn't stopped me from using that premium cucumber on Leo's face, our family would be incredibly wealthy by now." To get revenge, Sarah, my brother Adam, and even my mother Helen colluded to sell me off to a poor mountain village as the wife of an old man. I couldn't bear it any longer, so I jumped into a well to commit suicide. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reincarnated, back to the exact day Sarah found that post about the poisonous cucumber. "Mom, quickly transfer 20,000 yuan to me. Leo is about to become famous." As Sarah's voice echoed in my ears, I realized I had been reincarnated. It was the very day she scrolled past that post about the toxic cucumber. In my previous life, she had forced my mother to transfer money to her, wanting to buy 2 of those poisonous cucumbers from the blogger to apply to Leo's face. As a medical doctor, after seeing that post full of red flags, I immediately snatched her phone and exited the payment page. "This is a toxic cucumber. Once it touches the skin, it will immediately cause ulceration, and there's no cure." Sarah rolled her eyes, showing extreme displeasure. "Don't think just because you're highly educated you can rule this house. Would I ever harm my own son? People use cucumbers on their faces every day and become models all the way to Hollywood." I pretended not to understand her sarcasm and continued, "You also use cucumbers on his face. Leo and his mother apply cucumber masks every night. What's wrong? Look at him, smooth and radiant." Sarah then poked Leo's cheek a few times with her finger. I was speechless. What baby isn't like that? Many types of cucumbers nowadays are sprayed with pesticides during cultivation. Haven't you seen the recent news? Children have weak immune systems and are very susceptible to problems. Sarah looked a little flustered but remained stubborn. "That's why I had to spend a large sum of money to buy this premium cucumber. The child model competition is in a month. What if Leo gets eliminated?" Seeing that she still hadn't grasped the reality, I bowed my head and searched for documents on my phone, showing them to her one by one. Considering Sarah didn't know English, I specifically looked for videos with Chinese subtitles. My friend, Dr. Liang, an agricultural doctor, had warned me long ago not to buy what are called new varieties on the market. "The baby is so young, don't get carried away by trends and ruin him." Sarah, frightened by me, wide-eyed and stammering, asked, Is it really that serious?" I didn't answer. Instead, I directly picked up Leo and told my brother Adam to drive us to the hospital's dermatology department. Whether it's serious or not, we'll only know after the hospital's diagnostic report. The doctor I scheduled the appointment with was a senior colleague from my graduate studies. After I explained Leo's situation, Dr. Lee immediately asked Sarah, "Is the knife you use to slice cucumbers every day clean?" Sarah didn't answer, turning to look at my mother, Helen. "Well, it's just a normal vegetable knife. It's clean, isn't it?" Dr. Lee quickly prescribed, telling them to take Leo for each test. I stayed behind. "Mia," Dr. Lee said, "recently, the news has reported many cucumbers on the market are sprayed with pesticides. That type of pesticide reacts with certain foods." Sure enough, the test results showed that the pesticide had already entered Leo's body. If not treated promptly, his skin will develop ulcerations later. I calmly completed the admission procedures for Leo, specifically taking leave from work, and followed the doctor's instructions to care for him meticulously. At first, Sarah was very grateful to me. "Mia, it's a good thing you were here. Otherwise, Leo might not have survived." My brother Adam also transferred money to me a few times, saying that I was an irreproachable aunt. 5 years later, Leo's child model portfolio, posted online, still garnered no inquiries. Aside from taking a few good review photos to receive refunds on a shopping platform, there were absolutely no money-making opportunities. I had advised Sarah to give up on the child model path early on because Leo's appearance genuinely wasn't ideal. but she believed it was all because I had stopped her from using that premium cucumber on Leo's face that year, and she harbored deep resentment towards me. If it weren't for you, my Leo would be drowning in endorsements by now, having become a top child model. It was you and your friend, Dr. Liang, who colluded to deceive me, afraid that I'd live a better life. How much money did you make us lose? The child who used that premium cucumber on their face that year is now performing overseas. My brother Adam was fired from his company. For 2 years, he couldn't find suitable work, and their family's sole source of income was cut off. Every month, I punctually transferred 6,000 yuan to my mother's card for daily expenses. Because my job was too exhausting, I decided to take a break from work. They, however, didn't want to see me rest. They drugged me directly and sold me to a remote mountain village as the wife of a 60-year-old man. They took 150,000 yuan from selling me and lived lavishly, while I died consumed by resentment. Fortunately, fate granted me a chance to be reincarnated. This time, I decided to put away my kindness and respect the fate of others. I hastily got up from the sofa, took my laptop into the bedroom, and continued researching documents. If I didn't speak up and stop her today, waiting until Leo actually used the poisonous cucumber and something big happened, she would definitely blame me. You were right there. Why didn't you stop me? I don't believe a medical doctor like you wouldn't know there was something wrong with that cucumber. Haha, I've even figured out the words she'll say. The best way is to stay far away from this muddy water so she can't drag me into it, no matter what. My room wasn't soundproofed. I clearly heard my mother Helen rushing out of the kitchen, approaching Sarah and asking, "What do you need 20,000 yuan for, to buy this?" "Oh, Mom, you don't understand. This is a new variety of cucumber. This famous blogger's daughter has millions of fans, all thanks to this cucumber." My mother Helen seemed hesitant, advising, 20,000 yuan for one cucumber? Sarah, Leo is only 8 months old. He doesn't need it. Why are you putting masks on him every day? Hearing someone object, Sarah immediately got angry and shouted loudly, "How annoying, every single day. Just transfer 20,000 yuan to me quickly or it'll be sold out." My mother Helen didn't dare say anything more, only mentioning that she didn't have much money in her phone at the moment and asking if I had any spare. Only then did Sarah's voice soften, giving a slight huff. What money would she have? She reads books every day, but never amounts to anything. I'd be satisfied if she just didn't spend my money. Not long after, my mother Helen pushed the door open. "Mia, did you hear what your sister-in-law plans to do?" I feigned ignorance. No, I'm still writing documents." My mother continued, "Mom, is that cucumber really so magical? But it's true that having children become models earns a lot of money. Aunt Grace's granddaughter also does this, and her whole family doesn't need to work anymore." Since she brought it up, there was no harm in adding fuel to the fire. "Mom, do you really think Sarah would harm the child she carried for 10 months? We're all adults. There's no need to manage each other's affairs." As soon as I finished speaking, my mother Helen immediately panicked. No, don't say such nonsense in front of your sister-in-law." Then my mother left, not even bothering to close my door. Half a minute later, I heard a notification from the living room. Alipay received 20,000 yuan. The next day, I hastily packed up, taking all my belongings and necessary documents. I used the money I had saved from part-time jobs over the years to rent a house near the hospital where I was about to work. To relive a second life and still fall into the same trap would be utterly foolish. Sarah was overjoyed. She only wished I would quickly get out of the house I had lived in for over 10 years. The only person reluctant to let me go was my mother Helen. More precisely, she couldn't bear to lose the 1,000 yuan I contributed monthly. But she had no say. She could only read Sarah's expression and didn't try to keep me. The hardest thing for people to accept is a cooked duck flying away. The moment before I pushed the door open to leave, she grabbed my hand and said, "Mia, your father passed away early, and I raised you and your brother Adam alone. It truly wasn't easy to put you through school for so many years." When she reached the emotional part, tears welled up. I suppressed my impatience and handed her a tissue. "When you get your salary, don't forget to buy formula and clothes for Leo, okay? We're all family. Only by helping each other can our family be harmonious and everything go smoothly." It seems my mother Helen should have been a child model herself. After all, her expression management and acting skills were top-notch. To avoid her suspicion, I complied with her words. "Of course, Mom, Leo is my blood nephew too. Even though I've grown up, I won't forget my roots. After all, we're family." "Mom, this time I moved, and the rent requires 1 month's deposit and 3 months advance payment. I also have to pay for electricity and water. My phone bill today sent a message saying I owe over 100 yuan. Can you transfer some emergency money to me?" As soon as these words left my mouth, my mother Helen's face turned incredibly ugly, as if she'd just swallowed something awful. She wanted to slam the door shut. I had anticipated this, so I gripped the door frame tightly with both hands. A few minutes later, my mother Helen finally squeezed out a sentence. "I don't have any money. Where would I get money?" Then I let go, and with a bang, the door was slammed shut from the inside. At the same time, I turned off the recording button on my phone. In my previous life, I had worked at that hospital for many years. Because I had to send 6,000 yuan home every month, I also found a part-time job. Eventually, my body developed serious problems, and I had to quit my job to recuperate. This time, there was no part-time job, nor such a heavy financial burden. My work proceeded quite smoothly. My next contact with the family was 2 months later when my mother Helen called. "Mia, quickly ask your classmates. Leo's face has developed a lot of pimples recently, red and swollen. What on earth is the cause? Is the incubation period of toxic cucumbers really that long?" I didn't answer. Instead, I asked back, "Does Sarah know? Why don't you take him to the hospital for a checkup?" Hearing me mention Sarah, my mother Helen let out a heavy sigh and complained, "Of course she knows. Leo is like this precisely because she used that 20,000 yuan cucumber on his face. She even said this is a necessary process. How can that be true?" I suppressed the laughter bubbling up inside me and said, "Then just listen to Sarah, Mom. She wouldn't harm her own child." As soon as I finished speaking, my mother Helen roared at me. "I think your sister-in-law is right. You've studied so much you've become stupid. How can it be normal for a child's face to be full of red, swollen pimples? If anything happens to Leo, you'll be the first person I come after." Ha! A huge pot just fell from the sky onto my head. It turns out that no matter where I ran, to the ends of the earth, it would be useless. As long as Leo had even a slight discomfort, they would blame me. It seems this punching bag who never complains about pain or suffering has been used by them for too long. I sneered and said, "Mom, how long has it been since I've been home? Did you care how I lived before I even got my salary? Why do you never remember me when good things happen, but are quick to dump all the blame on me when bad things do? Sarah has already spoken. How dare I say too much?" After venting for a while, before my mother Helen could even react, I hung up. It was truly like seeing ghosts in broad daylight. They made me shoulder the blame for everything. A few days later, I saw Sarah post a new video on a short video platform with the caption, "Following in Daddy's footsteps, he'll have a great future." In a private room at a restaurant, my brother Adam and a few friends were drinking, their faces flushed. Leo was sitting on his lap, swaying, about to fall. Sarah smugly said, "My Adam really knows how to live. Even when he goes out for dinner, he doesn't forget to bring his wife and son." My brother Adam became more excited with each drink, his hand shaking so much he almost couldn't hold the wine glass, spilling some wine onto Leo's head. A few seconds later, he used chopsticks to pick up a salted peanut and put it into Leo's mouth. Someone at the table tried to stop him, but my brother Adam said, "It's fine, it's just one peanut. Kids can eat it, they can eat it." My nephew Leo was only 8 months old. How could his throat swallow that peanut? He choked until tears streamed down his face, looking utterly ridiculous. Everyone at the table burst into laughter at the sight. Sarah, holding her phone and recording the video, was also shaking with laughter. Looking at Leo's small face, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken, only regretting that he had been reborn into this family, encountering such irresponsible parents. That video didn't last long because the comments were filled with insults against them. Sarah initially argued fiercely with each person, but then the video was reported and removed. Half a month later, on my way to work by shared bicycle, I received a call from my mother Helen again. "Mia, come home quickly. Something has happened to Leo." Of course, something would happen, but it was much later than I had predicted. "I'm in a hurry for work. If anything's wrong, send a WeChat message and I'll reply when I'm free." After saying that, I hung up, then switched my phone to silent mode, turning off all vibrations, and put it into my crossbody bag. That evening, returning to my rented home, I opened my phone and saw hundreds of missed calls from my mother Helen, Adam, and even Sarah. I fell into deep thought. Did they not understand human language? Or did they not know how to type, only how to use their throats to scream? I proactively called my mother Helen back. They all knew where I worked. If I continued to ignore them, I was afraid that tomorrow, once they calmed down, they would go straight to the hospital to cause trouble. How is Leo, Mom? I was so busy today, I just got off work. My mother Helen cried and criticized me fiercely. Why did you hang up during the day? Do you still consider this your home? Leo is in the intensive care unit now, costing tens of thousands of yuan a day. I gave a cold laugh, pretending to be worried as I asked, what on earth happened? Leo was perfectly fine when I left. Why is he in the ICU? On the other end, Sarah snatched the phone from my mother Helen's hand and roared at me. Mia, you did this on purpose. You studied for so many years, how could you not know there was something wrong with that cucumber? You didn't even bother to stop us back then, you just ran off, afraid that if something happened to Leo, it would fall on your head, right? Before I could say anything, Adam's voice rang out from the other side. Sarah, come here first. The doctor says Leo has new symptoms and needs surgery. Sarah didn't hang up. She grabbed my mother Helen's phone and ran to my brother Adam's side. The doctor standing nearby said, the patient's facial skin has ulcerated. Do you remember what you used on the patient's face? Sarah stammered for a long time, unable to speak. It wasn't until my mother Helen rushed forward and spoke about the poisonous cucumber. Take that cucumber you used for the mask to the hospital to check its ingredients, otherwise the child will need surgery. The patient is too young and the cause of the disease is still unknown. Surgery could very well lead to complications. Sarah slowly opened her mouth. It's all gone, all gone. I just sliced it up to put on Leo's face last night. I only bought one, and I had to use it sparingly. A few seconds later, she seemed to remember something else. You quibblers, what's wrong with your hospital? My child was brought here and you still don't know why he ended up like this. Are you trying to trick us out of money? That was a premium cucumber, how could it be the cause? Slap, Adam slapped her across the face. Even I, on the other end of the line, felt the pain. Sarah, can you please stop making a scene? This is a hospital. The nurse, attracted by the noise, warned them to keep quiet. Hearing this, Sarah threw the phone she was holding directly onto the ground. An ear-splitting crackle immediately came through the receiver. Luckily, it wasn't completely broken. I could still clearly hear what they were saying. Adam, you dared to hit me? I'll fight you to the death. My mother Helen heard this, ran up in fright, and hugged Sarah, ceaselessly repeating, Harmony brings prosperity, how ridiculous. Harmony brings prosperity? In your dreams. In the end, it was Adam who signed the surgery consent form. After thanking the doctor, he dragged Sarah back home. My mother Helen finally remembered the phone lying on the ground, picked it up, and said to me in a sobbing voice, if you still consider me your mother, you must come here quickly tomorrow. The hospital they brought Leo to was a top private children's hospital, more than 10 kilometers from where I worked. Mom, how long have I been working that I should ask for leave? My starting salary isn't high. If I take long leave, all my pay will be deducted. What about Leo's medical expenses then? My mother Helen coughed when she heard about money. Mia, Leo's hospitalization this time really cost a lot. Your brother's monthly salary is only so much, and my pension is just over 1,000 yuan. Before, I used to give you allowances, so I have almost no savings. Or maybe you could try asking for a half-year salary advance at the hospital. I genuinely wanted to vomit blood. Not to mention whether I could even get a half-year salary advance. Even if I could, how would I live for those 6 months? By drinking the northwest wind? Mom, half a year's salary is not a small amount. I have to wait until tomorrow when I'm at work to ask the colleague in charge of that department. I paused for a moment, suddenly remembered something, and quickly spoke before my mother Helen could hang up. Mom, do you have any spare money? I have to pay my rent soon and I'm short 1,000? Beep, beep. Before I could finish, the phone was hung up. How ridiculous. Only they were allowed to shamelessly bleed me dry, but if I just asked for a little money, I became a sinner. After starting university, I always worked as a tutor and took on part-time jobs. My academic schedule was very heavy, almost fully booked every day. My campus was in the suburbs, far from the city center. A bus ride alone took an hour, and I even had to transfer buses halfway. Every day after classes, I rushed to take a bus to my tutoring job and only got back late at night. If anything happened on the way that caused a delay, I wouldn't even be able to get into my dorm. My living expenses relied entirely on my part-time earnings and the scholarships I received. As for tuition, only for the first year did my mother Helen reluctantly give me money to pay. All the remaining years were paid for with money I earned working as a laborer during holidays. I am a medical doctor. Even my specialized professors praised my natural talent, saying they envied my parents for having a daughter like me. But my mother Helen wished she had never given birth to me. My brilliant achievements, in her eyes, were far less a source of pride than Adam getting into a private college. To outsiders, my mother Helen's attentive care for me seemed like favoring her daughter over her son. I've said it for a long time. My mother Helen is even more suited to be a child model than my nephew, with her superb acting and phenomenal expression management. I screenshotted my part-time work conversations after starting university, organized them into a document, and sent them to our family group chat of over 50 people. As for the screenshots of me transferring 2,000 yuan to my mother Helen during the 2 months I was home writing my thesis earlier, I sent those separately. Sure enough, gossip is human nature. Just a few seconds after sending it, someone asked below, "What is Mia sending these for?" I see these transfer records in the chat history are all from years ago. Wasn't Mia still in college then? That's called working part-time, auntie. My Mia isn't just good at studying, she also uses her time to tutor and earn money. So capable. Didn't Aunt Helen say she gives Mia 2,500 for pocket money every month? Mia seems to spend quite a lot. 2,500 isn't enough. You need to learn to save. Seeing the increasing number of messages, I seized the moment and immediately sent the recording of a call from my second year of university, when I called my mother Helen to ask for money, but she adamantly refused. At this point, Adam suddenly spoke up. "Mia, what are you doing? Always doing such useless things." Sarah immediately followed with a 60-second voice message, roughly stating that I didn't give money for Leo's medical treatment. However, it was recalled less than half a minute after being sent. This was because Adam hated nothing more than family matters being aired publicly and becoming a laughingstock to others. Sarah's voice message was like a bomb dropped into a calm lake, drawing everyone's attention. "Sarah, how is Leo? Record a video for us, we're so worried. What kind of illness? He's already in the ICU? Poor boy, he's not even a year old and has to suffer so much. Aunt Helen, how is your eldest grandson? If you're short on money, just say so. I don't have much, but I can spare a few tens or hundreds. We're family, we should help each other. If my family hadn't just had twin grandsons, I would definitely transfer money right away. Unfortunately, I don't have any spare cash. Aunt Helen, I always support you in my heart." A group of smiling hyenas gathered. The scene was truly interesting. My mother Helen still hadn't spoken in the group. I guessed her phone must be completely broken. The time was ripe. I sent a message. Oops, sent to the wrong group. It's too late to recall now. Then I left the group chat and immediately answered my cousin who was asking me questions. From Sarah spending 20,000 yuan on a premium cucumber for Leo's face to her causing a scene at the hospital, I finally added, "You absolutely must not tell anyone outside, okay?" My cousin, nicknamed the Town Crier, would, if nothing unexpected happened, ensure everyone in the family group would know everything by tomorrow morning. It was almost over. I applied for leave at the hospital for tomorrow, intending to completely cut ties with them. As expected, early the next morning when I arrived at the children's hospital lobby, I saw 7 or 8 relatives looking around. Seeing me, they rushed up, grabbed my hands, their eyes welling up with tears. "Mia, you've suffered so much all these years. How did you get through those days? Aunt Helen is truly unreasonable, not giving her daughter tuition or living expenses while at home, and even making her pay money. We've come here today for 2 things. 1, to see how Leo is doing, and 2, to help you get justice. Sarah really is something. How could she use a poisonous cucumber on a child's face?" My face twitched for a moment. This could truly be called a great tragedy. While they were talking, I secretly pinched my thigh hard enough to bring tears to my eyes. I was satisfied as I replied to them in a sobbing voice, "It's okay, everything is over now." Then I led the group of people outside Leo's hospital room. Just then, Adam and Sarah arrived for their shift change. Sarah's right eye was bruised, her entire face swollen and red. In the middle of summer, she was still wearing long sleeves and long pants. She wanted to hide behind Adam, but he impatiently pushed her forward in front of the relatives, telling her to greet them. My mother Helen tried to sneak away, but of course, I wouldn't give her the chance. "Mom, has Leo's condition improved yet?" As soon as I spoke, the relatives' gaze shifted from Sarah to my mother Helen, and they all surged forward. "Aunt Helen, haven't I told you before? How could you treat Mia like that? She's a child who had to earn money and study at the same time, how exhausting." Exactly. Everyone knows Mia was good at studying since childhood, and she often helped you wash dishes and cook. Such a good daughter, and you don't appreciate her." Seeing this, I immediately took out the 2,000 yuan I had just withdrawn from the bank, trying to suppress my sobs, and said, "Mom, I really can't. The hospital doesn't allow such a large salary advance, and they've already rejected my application. This is the money I plan to save for rent. I was already short 1,200, but now I'm taking it all out for Leo's treatment." Hearing me say this, Adam's expression became even uglier. He quickly stepped in front of me, pushing away the money I offered. "We don't need this 2,000 yuan. Among the relatives, the one who loved drama and feared no big trouble was my cousin's mother. As soon as she saw signs of an impending argument, she gleefully crowded closer. "Oh dear, we're all family, no need for formalities. Sarah, what are you standing there stunned for? Quickly, pull Adam away. Why are you mingling with all these women?" Sarah had certainly been beaten by Adam before they arrived. No matter how sharp-tongued she was, against absolute strength she was useless. At that moment, she only wished for a hole in the ground to crawl into. What dignity was there in walking around with a face like this? But she couldn't fight against these relatives. They crowded around and pushed her, making her move closer and closer to Adam. Seeing this, I spoke again. No one can blame Sarah, who would have known that spending a large sum of money would buy a poisonous cucumber. Every day, the hard-earned money of us ordinary people is being swindled. My words inadvertently added fuel to Adam's fire. He was furious. He raised his hand and slapped Sarah's already disfigured face again. "You idiot, you wicked woman. I told you you can't trust things online, but you never listened. You believe whatever people say. Now look, you're almost killing our son." Hearing this, Sarah, who had endured all night, finally exploded. She leaped up like a madwoman, grabbed Adam's hair, and pulled it. "If you weren't so useless and couldn't earn much money, would I need to spend all my time thinking about making Leo a child model? When I spent 20,000 yuan on that cucumber, you didn't say that. You said it was a good buy, and that 20,000 yuan would just be a loss at most, since it was your mother's hard-earned savings, not money you made. Why did Mia have to pay money even when living at home?" "I didn't demand that. Do you dare to show everyone your chat history with your mother? Let them see how you schemed against your own sister. Making Leo a child model was also because you were envious of Aunt Grace's granddaughter making so much money and buying a house, forcing me to put Leo on that path. But there were never any jobs, and you complained about me every day. Have you no shame, Adam?" My mother Helen tried to intervene, but didn't know where to start. She was so furious she almost fainted, falling to the ground before anyone paid attention. The nurses, having been accidentally hit by a few people when they tried to intervene earlier, didn't dare to speak up easily anymore, just waiting for security to arrive. Leo inside still didn't know whether he would live or die, while his two closest relatives in the world were fighting uncontrollably. With a somber expression, I deliberately walked past the relatives, pretending to leave. They held me back, and I slowly opened my mouth. "It's all my fault. If I hadn't accidentally sent that message to the wrong group last night, it wouldn't be like this." The so-called tears welling up in my eyes, I thought to myself. Indeed, not all family members are truly family. It turns out I'm an actress too. People always like to protect those weaker than themselves. These relatives deeply sympathized with my situation, fiercely condemning my mother Helen's actions. By this point, the reputation that my mother Helen and Adam valued most was on the verge of collapsing. That day, I returned to work as usual. A month and a half later, my mother Helen suddenly appeared outside the door of my rented apartment, waiting. I rented an old apartment complex. The hallway had no lights, and it was past 11 p.m. when I got off work. At this moment, a weak voice echoed, "Have you been doing well lately?" I was startled, almost screaming, relying entirely on my strong will and composure. "Mom, how did you find me here?" I quickly climbed the remaining steps, took out the key from my pocket, opened the door, and invited her in. Under the light, I finally saw her current appearance. She was emaciated, like a completely different person. She said that morning, she ran into me on my way to work at the market. Afterwards, she went into the apartment complex and asked some old ladies walking downstairs to find out where I lived. My mother Helen just stood by the shoe cabinet near the door, holding her market basket. No matter how I called her, she didn't speak. I had no choice but to take out my phone, turn on the recording, and go about my business. About 5 minutes later, as I was heating water to drink, she suddenly dropped to her knees with a thud. My hand trembled, and the glass cup fell and shattered. They say being knelt to by an elder shortens one's lifespan. I didn't want to lose several years of my life for no reason. I ignored the shattered glass, walked around, intending to help my mother Helen up, but her strength was too great. I couldn't budge her. Your brother Adam and sister-in-law Sarah are recently talking about divorce. Leo's condition stabilized and he was discharged from the hospital. Our family truly has no more money to hold on. Mia, please forgive me. Harmony brings prosperity. Over and over, it was still about money, still unwilling to let this blood bag she had raised since childhood just run off. After my mother Helen finished speaking, I stepped back a few paces, faced her, and also knelt. I not only knelt, but I also kowtowed 3 times. Is that enough, Mom? If not, I'll kowtow again. If you want to dig money out of my pocket, there's no way. Mom, it's not that I don't want to help you all. I really don't have money. When I was in college, you didn't give me money for tuition, and relying only on my meager part-time earnings wasn't enough. I took out many online loans with very high interest rates. Even now, my income doesn't cover my expenses. I eat dry bread and drink plain water every day to get by. Oh, it's my fault for being useless, unable to provide Leo with a better environment. Mom, can you lend me some money first? I just found another loan online. The interest rate isn't high, but it requires an initial capital of 5,000 yuan. This can make money multiply. Hearing me, my mother Helen looked around the house with an annoyed expression. I don't have many material desires. This house was no different from a rough, unfinished one, and with its age, it looked even more dilapidated. My mother Helen repeatedly hit her leg, intending to stand up. I didn't give her the chance. Didn't you like kneeling on the ground? Then kneel a little longer. I shuffled forward on my knees, placed my crossed hands on her lap, and pressed down hard. Really, Mom, you have to believe me. I've studied for so many years, I can't be like Sarah, being deceived online. That loan is a really good deal. If you just transfer 5,000 yuan to me now, soon I can give you back 50,000 yuan. Mia, are you proud of taking out online loans? I didn't want to borrow either. Oh, Mom, you don't know. Back then, there was even a boss who wanted to keep me. If he hadn't been so ugly, I wouldn't have gone for online loans. My mother Helen's eyes lit up when she heard someone wanted to keep me. The corners of her mouth curved up as she leaned close to my face and asked, "Do you still have that boss's contact information? Leo's future treatment still needs a lot of money." Yes, I do. But he only gives me a few hundred yuan in food delivery coupons each month, and I even have to split the bill when I eat with him. My mother Helen's face turned cold. She stood up, glared at me warningly, and said, "When you get your salary, quickly transfer 5,000 yuan to me." Then, with a bang, she slammed the door shut. I had once truly loved her, feeling that it was very difficult for her to raise my brother Adam and me alone. When I was in college, she didn't give me money, and I didn't resent her at all. Even though Adam got into a private college and received 4,000 yuan in living expenses each month. But in my previous life, she could collude with those two to sell me to a mountain village, to be the wife of an old man on his deathbed. That proved that in her heart, I was not even worth Adam's little toe. Thinking of this, I still couldn't help but cry. A toxic family is more terrifying than an abyss. It's better to have none at all. I opened my phone, pressed pause on the recording of my mother Helen asking for money a few months before I moved, and sent it all to the family group chat. Then I sent a long message, roughly condemning the irresponsible parents, Adam and Sarah, standing on a moral high ground and listing their unacceptable behaviors. During this time, I had actually secretly gone downstairs to their house. The women dancing in the square said that Leo's situation was not optimistic. The incubation period for the toxic cucumber was very long, and with no remaining poisonous cucumber to research, there was no specific antidote. My nephew was so young, he didn't even have much self-awareness yet, and his own biological mother had harmed him to this extent. I heard them say that Adam refused to pay the hospital fees, wanting to let Leo live or die on his own. I gave a cold laugh. He would naturally do such a thing. What kind of good person would sell his own sister to the mountains? If he's not a good person, how high can the probability of him being a good father be? Adam didn't provide money, my mother Helen's pension was too small, Sarah didn't work, and had no money at all. And the online influencer who sold the poisonous cucumbers had long since disappeared without a trace, with nowhere to pursue accountability. The child model with millions of fans that Sarah talked about was actually a fabrication. That person had never come into contact with the poisonous cucumber. Such a clumsy scam could only fool people like Sarah, who were desperate for money and missing a few screws in their heads. The only path left for Leo was death. The fighting power of the relatives, indeed, could not be underestimated. Everyone was furious, wishing they could transform into Leo and wield a knife to chop them up. Sarah went completely insane. No matter who messaged her, she replied, "Give me some money, I need to take Leo to the doctor, and she's still asking for money. Who knows what she'll do with the money? I'd rather throw 20,000 yuan into the river. What are you two doing? You're just an ordinary family, but you keep having unrealistic fantasies." Aunt Grace's granddaughter became a child model because her son is the CEO of a company. Shameless, heartless pity for Leo. After doing all this, I left the group chat and switched to another app to buy a plane ticket abroad. A few days before I submitted my resignation, my academic advisor introduced me to a senior colleague who had settled overseas. She was currently opening a private clinic and recruiting doctors. My professor had sent my resume to her, and she expressed that I was always welcome to join. I looked through the narrow window, seeing the moonlight illuminating my future path.